We're with Eastern Connecticut head men's lacrosse coach Justin Axel. Eastern Connecticut opening up on February 20th at Castleton State College. Justin, you guys have been practicing for about a month now. What do you see with this team?
You know, we have a really hard-working group of kids. You know, we've been bitten by a little bit of the injury bug, but everyone's starting to get healthy, I think, at the right time. But, you know, their off-season work ethic is really shown as their numbers went up drastically in the weight room. Their sticks have gotten to the next level. They've shoot the ball well, and you know, just from a team defensive point of view, they're all on the same page, and they've worked really hard together. It's been a pleasure to see and coach.
Can you sort of tell a team when you start practice in the fall? Can you sort of tell whether that team, the majority of the players, have done their work?
Oh, absolutely. You can tell day one, you know, just by how much they're lifting on our weight tests, how much they've improved, and usually that's an indicator of how hard they've really worked in that off season. You know, the turnovers and things like that, and first day jitters, you know, that's kind of expected. But you know, you can pretty much tell the first day of the fall and first day of the spring how hard they've worked in between the off season, and I think a lot of that has to do with the upperclassmen leadership and our captains is demanding excellence out of them.
You lost a few players, you know, attackman Mike Solinger, Sal Boulevard, Tommy Flynn, a defenseman. You feel happy, though, with what you've got coming back. You got people that can step right in, you think?
Absolutely. I think, you know, even though we lost Mike Solinger, Dan Bartram is an excellent addition to our attack unit that I think he's going to do a lot of great things for us over the next 4 years. You know, even though we lost Tommy Flynn, Nick Stoop is coming back from injury, which, you know, really fills that void. And, you know, everybody on the defensive end has also gotten a lot better. You know, Salou, you know, great leader, great captain for us. You know, I think he struggled a little bit his senior year with his shooting percentage and turnovers, but, you know, was a great defensive player for us as well. And, you know, even though we did lose him and Mark Vincent in the middle of the field, we also have everybody else returning, which was, you know, really good to see. And they're all a lot better, too, with one more year of experience under their belt, and they're doing a great job.
Well, you always talk about, I think the first thing people look at is whether you have your goalie back. You did lose your goalie in Jamie Tommins, who just had he was the MVP of the conference tournament. What do you have behind him coming in?
You know, I think right now we've got, you know, Drew Dean, who's been a 4-year player for us. He's an excellent goalie, can command a defense, and then we also have a freshman in Brendan Gelati that, you know, fundamentally he's an incredible goalie, and we're just kind of waiting to see whether he can make the leap from high school to college and how quickly he can actually do that. So, you know, those two are great. You know, Tony Lomangino commands the defense, and his lacrosse IQ is incredible. And then we also have another freshman, Blake Smaldone, who probably has the fastest hands on the team.
Well, the funny thing is, Justin, you talked about how fast can a freshman goalie play at the college level. I know Jamie came in as a freshman, and I think there was thoughts of him maybe moving in right away. How is that the most difficult position for a freshman to be a starter at?
I think so. You know, unless they've played in an incredible league and see that, you know, those types of shots on a regular basis, it's tough to catch up to the college game speed as far as the shot accuracy, the shot speed. You know, unless you're playing against some of those top high school teams in the country, they just haven't been, you know, shown that on a day-to-day basis.
Well, you got 25 letter winners back. Talk about your top people at each position briefly.
Starting the attack, you know, we've got Trevor Morrishead, who's a great shooter. Mike Jordan, who's also, you know, a great finisher, great crease guy, great wing guy. And then Dan Bartram, the freshman, as well as Devin Callahan, who's just a great guy at X for us. In the middle of the field, you know, we've returned Mike Devine, who had an All-American campaign as a sophomore. Tyler Fresen, who's a great creator of the group. Kevin Feckman, who's just been a great two-way midi for us for the last 2-3 years. And then our second line is Dean Accomando, who's a sophomore, who, you know, reminds me a lot of a lefty DJ Simmons for us, and Zach Thresher's really kind of, you know, a great slasher in that group, and Ryan Scott is a freshman, has done a nice job, and Liam Murphy is kind of in the mix with that group as well. Defensively, you know, we return Jordan Munsell, Nick Stoop, Chris Brown, who was all-conference, Travis Tiger, who might be one of the better ones out of the group, Merrick Smith and Mike Fanning, who also played in every game for us. So I think our polls are great, and then, you know, even though we have some new faces in the D midi group, I think they're probably the most athletic defensive midi group that we've had here yet, between Jordan Munsell playing that position too. Steve Nixon is an incredible athlete, and Marcel Bonnier is just an absolute incredible athlete in between the lines and plays with a ton of intensity.
You know, a lot of people, when they're on the outside looking in at a team, basically they look at who's scoring the goals.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much more than that, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, you have to look at the clearing percentage, the man up and the man down percentages, the face-off percentages, turnovers, things like that. You know, and sometimes a lot of those guys, you know, that are point scorers may be benefiting from other guys on the field, you know, almost like in a hockey sense. You know, the hockey assist that, you know, sometimes you get guys, you know, Vinny Tornatore was the best at that. You know, he scored a lot of goals based off of other people's efforts. You know, Vinny was a great crease guy, but that's what crease guys do.
Well, you know, one person we didn't talk about too much was Josh Dubinsky. He stepped in for All-American Eric Vazel last year, and you had to be thrilled to death with what he did.
Absolutely. You know, Josh was 63% last year as a junior. He's coming back for a senior year and really just has improved a lot more just on all aspects of his game. You know, he's not a liability with his stick anymore when he picks up the ball. He's even a great defensive midfielder, so if he loses a face-off, he's not a liability out there, knows our man-down unit, and just, you know, kind of does it all. I expect him to be even better this year than he was last year.
And you have Keith Sardo as well, helping out in that area?
Oh, Keith Sardo is just one of the strongest kids on the team. He's, you know, he gets better and better at the face-off X, and, you know, I have high hopes and expectations for him not only this year, but for years down the road.
Well, last year, come the end of the year, you really went into the postseason, the Little East postseason tournament on a high. You had won all your conference regular season games. You go against Keene State. How important was it to stop Keene State? Keene State had won 2 conference championships in a row, and to avoid that third one, you sort of guys got back into it. Was that a big incentive for that team last year?
It was critical. Our guys knew what the tradition here at Eastern was, and they really wanted to get back to the NCAA tournament. You know, that senior class had been there their freshman year, but you know they did not want to have a 3-year drought, and you know, in their senior campaigns like that, and their leadership towards the end really made a difference, I think, in, you know, refusing to let this team lose, and, you know, with Jamie stepping up and making 24 saves, and, you know, we made a few defensive adjustments in that championship game, which I think really helped us, and, you know, provided to, you know, create some shots that, you know, Jamie would be able to see a little bit early, you know, a little bit better early on. I think was a big difference in that game.
Well, staying on that subject for a second, that game, remember, second half, I believe it was the third quarter, you're down 8-5, and it looks like maybe things are starting to slip away. Thinking back on that, what turned it? I think we scored 7 goals in a row after that. What made that change?
You know, a lot of our guys just, and they had that X factor that entire year that they, you know, they'd been down in a lot of different games, whether it was Stevens Tech and they came roaring back, whether it was Endicott, they came roaring back. Even in the Trinity game, being down 8-1, you know, at halftime, being down 9-1 in the third quarter, they came roaring back too. Like, they were just a team that wouldn't get down, wouldn't let adversity affect them, and I really hope that carries over to this year's team as well, because they've been in those situations where they can go down a few goals and say, we're okay, you know, we just need to execute here, we have to make this adjustment, and, you know, we do these, we're fine. So I think that really helped out.
Well, the team hasn't won back-to-back Little East championships since they won the first 4. What will it take for this year's team to win it again?
I think they have to, you know, attack every practice with intensity, like it's a game. I think they have to respect all opponents, fear none, and I think they really need to have a great, you know, have some out-of-conference success this year, you know, against some of those teams that we were so close to beating last year. I think that, you know, 1 or 2 more of those wins will really kind of propel this team to hopefully that next level, that they're, you know, looking, you know, for more than just the conference. They want to go deep into the NCAA tournament. Well,
last question. Your opener for the season, you're up at Castleton in a couple of days. You've been through the fall. You've been through a month of preseason. Are you happy sitting down and saying, I think we're ready to go?
Yeah, I think so. You know, Saturday was a big test for us against Springfield, and I thought our kids
scrimmage,
played. Yeah. The scrimmage against Springfield. I thought that was an excellent test for our guys, and it really showed us that, you know, we can play with some of the better teams in New England, and, you know, between that and scrimmaging Skidmore and Western New England in the fall, our guys know what they're capable of doing, and going up to Castleton, you know, we're excited. We're excited to see, you know, another new team, and we're excited to see some of their assistants that are former alumni here, and it should be a great way to start off our season.
Well, the Warriors open up on Wednesday, February 20th. They're going to be at Castleton State. They will play a number of non-conference games before opening up in the conference on March 30th against Salem State at the Mansfield Outdoor Complex. Justin, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Bob.